let's go to my next guest, because I'm now going to be joined by another individual who was there at the meeting, also from the Kashmir Valley, but a slightly different perspective. Sajad Lone, People's Conference Chairperson, is now joining me. Sajad, appreciate your joining us. Are you also coming out of the meeting looking suitably softened, that you actually believe that the dil ki doori between Delhi and Srinagar has been overcome by one cup of tea?
Rajdeep, I can tell you that I came out of the meeting feeling optimistic in the sense that I believe that it's dawned upon the union government that this is my reading of the situation, this is my reading of the meeting, that a phase of reconciliation needs to be started. Now, am I happy, am I not happy, given the context, given what happened in the last 2 years? You have to understand that this is a government which is going to run this country until 2024, and the new elections will be held. If there is any power on earth which can effect a change in J&K, it is this government. So there is no other way out but to do business with this government.
No, when you say do business with this government, this is the same government, Sajad Lone, which detained you and other individuals for months together, which overnight repealed Article 370, which downsized your state from a state to union territories. None of that matters to you. All that is in the past. Has trust been restored so suddenly that you are saying that you are ready to do business with the same government that only a year ago all of you were cursing?
And what is the other option? Sit back and put our people at the mercy of bureaucrats. Yeah? What is the other option? You have to understand there are no options. And, yeah.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
And I can tell you something, is that, I can tell you is that they invited us. And in all humility, we all went there. And I could see that everybody put forward or reflected in their utterances the pain that is there in Kashmir, reflected it. I think they suitably reflected it, and all the other demands that they have. Now it's up to the union government how they take it, what happens in the future. But you know, the liberal, so-called liberal section in India, I at times wonder whether you lot are an illiberal lot or a liberal lot. You liberally watch the illiberal policies that have been implemented there, and then make, and the utterances are there which will impede deliverance, not facilitate deliverance. You have to facilitate deliverance. You cannot help us. The liberal sections of the Indian society cannot help us. They are not in power. They are not able to convince their fellow countrymen that they should not have rejoiced when August 5 took place, right? So you cannot possibly help us. But at least you should not facilitate a process where deliverance becomes impossible for the union government. This is a country of elections. There is an election every 6 months. What we say, what we do, if it puts pressure on a political government, means they walk away and we are there, at God's mercy.
No, what I'm finding interesting is you seem to be suggesting to me we had no option. What it appears, therefore, is that having revoked Article 370, which is part of the BJP's ideological agenda, having downsized your state to a union territory, having imprisoned you and others, you were pushed to the wall, and now you have come to this meeting with no options on the table but to accept in a way what the government of India has to offer to you. Is that one way? Am I right to interpret it that in a sense the parties, particularly of the valley, have been left with no option but to come to the dialogue table?
No, I don't think so. I think you are looking at it very pessimistically. I don't know why you're such a pessimist today.
I'm a cynic, sir. I'm sorry. I'll tell you why. Omar bhai, Sajad bhai, I'm a cynic because I've seen what has happened over the years with Kashmir. It's one step forward, one step back. I'm trying to understand, is today one step forward that will sustain, or will we go back one step back come tomorrow?
Rajdeep, I think we should, this is my point of view, that whatever we can get from this government for the people of J&K, we should forget what has happened to us, our personal pain of being locked up, we should forget about that. And when there is a liberal government, let us see what they do for us.
You know, that's a very...
When a liberal government comes in the at a future date, let's see what this...
No, Sajad Lone, there have been so-called liberal governments. I use the word so-called. There have been governments, so-called liberal governments. There have been BJP governments. And since 30 years, there has been violence also that has carried out parallelly in the valley. Now, this government believes that one of the reasons why they had to act the way they did was because they believed the violence had reached an intolerable level. They wanted to control the situation. They have a very different view of the Kashmir Valley to previous governments also as well. Mr. Vajpayee spoke about insaniyat. Today, Prime Minister Modi has spoken about Dilli se doori, and Dil ki doori has to be narrowed down. Do you trust Prime Minister Modi or not? It's about trust. Do you trust that Prime Minister Modi means well for the people of Kashmir?
Well, he is our Prime Minister. We might not agree with him. We might be totally opposed to him, but he's the Prime Minister of India. Your Prime Minister, my Prime Minister. We have to trust him. Why can't we? We have to. There is no other way out. Rajdeep, we have to trust the Prime Minister. If we don't trust the Prime Minister, who do we? He says it publicly, says everything. You know, it's the esteem, the respect of the Prime Ministerial chair at stake when he makes a commitment, and this commitment is again as poetic as Vajpayee Saab's remark about insaniyat. And let's hope he charts that course, and we have to facilitate him and say, "Baka Pia, do it." If we are cynics, that disincentivizes any movement towards delivering for the people of J&K. And let me tell you, as I was hearing Mr. Omar Abdullah, I was hearing, we have to be realistic also. This party, which is at power, has a very strong ideological agenda. We have to be realistic at what they can deliver. And as I told you, maybe I was slightly, trying to be slightly talking in a satirical context, but this is the reality. Let's see, you see, this Kashmir is a learning process for people of India. It will define the limits of liberalism and illiberalism.
Okay.
When I said that let a liberal government come, how different will be an alternative to BJP government beyond Kashmir? If it ever, if it comes to power in 24 or maybe 29 or maybe 34. Your guess is as good as mine. Kashmir is more about the two extremes of liberalism.
Okay, and
may I say, as on date, they coincide.
Okay, at the end of the day, can I ask you for a simple yes or no answer? Are you therefore willing to reach out, irrespective of the fact that your state has been downsized and Article 370 is not restored? These are not preconditions. Am I correct that you are also willing to in a way walk along with the government on this path of a dialogue, irrespective of whether statehood is restored or not? Correct or not?
You see, dialogue is a means to an end. The end is, it will have to be, it won't be one go. One is to be very realistic. Nothing will be delivered in one go. But yes, statehood immediately would be a great thing in the medium run, short run, not in the very long run. Okay. But yes, in the medium run, after a process of dialogue. Yeah, and that's a means to a dialogue. We, the people of Kashmir, know it better than anybody else. That dialogue is the best way. Kashmiris have shunned dialogue in the past and paid very heavily. Whatever the dialogue, whosoever you're talking to, have faith in the institution of dialogue. Because if you lose in the faith in the institution of dialogue, in a place like Kashmir, the alternative to it is what? Violence. Okay.
Sajad Lone, in a way, you're giving us a very interesting perspective as well, as always, on what's been happening in Jammu and Kashmir, what happened today. I appreciate your joining us on the show also to give us...
And Rajdeep, yes. Rajdeep, for a change, I'm also very humbly giving a perspective on the two extremes of liberalism and illiberalism in Indian politics and how, unfortunately, they've coincided.
Okay. Interesting argument that you made, as I said. Sajad Lone, you also seem to be in a soft and mellow mood. Clearly, there was something in the chai that the Prime Minister has served all of you. Thank you very much, Sajad Lone, also for joining
I didn't
me.
have chai. I didn't have chai.
What did you
I
have?
didn't have chai.
Kawa.
Nothing. No, I didn't. I
Okay.
had a glass of water.
Okay.
Water belongs to God.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Sajad Lone, also for joining me. Let me, in a moment, come to those who will analyze the bigger picture as well as get a Jammu perspective. But let's also look at what's happened in the Kashmir Valley.